So let's go ahead and look at adding in the flag. So first thing to do is make sure that we've got the wave animation in the current clip so we can watch that, okay, because we're going to be attaching the flag to her hand, so we need to know where the hand is. And we're just going to model a very simple flag. It doesn't need to be too detailed. Well, you can do it as detailed as you like, but I'm not going to bother, as it's going to be very far away. So we need, let's go ahead and just build this up very quickly. We need end caps in Y is fine. Let's, the radius, yeah, we need it much smaller, but we need it much taller. Okay, so we're going to make a pole. This will be the pole, obviously. Let's give it some more rows. 12 columns is fine. And then I'm going to make a grid. I'm going to use a grid as the actual fabric. The XY plane. Put the template on the pole so I can see what I'm doing. And the size, let's do it quite big. I'm going to do two flags, a big one and a smaller one, just for some variety, one for the woman and one for the man. Okay, and I'm going to line this up, so bring it over 10, but then a little bit more, just so it's not intersecting, like that, and bring it up. Okay, that looks fine. It's blue on this side because the normals are flipped. Doesn't really matter, but you can, if it does bother you, you can reverse it. Okay, just so I show you that. What else? So this is, we're going to be simulating this part, obviously. So we need more subdivision there. So just use remesh. Whoop, not attribute map. Remesh. It's a good idea to always do this before using vellum. Okay, we don't need too much subdivision, but this is fine. This is more than enough for our purposes. Let's give them two separate groups so we can differentiate between them later on. This is the pole, and this is the flag itself. Great. Okay, so let's take a look at the vellum configure cloth. They should be reversed. So this course is a crowd's course, so we're not going to go into too much detail with the vellum parts, okay, but that'll be good enough for our purposes. So that'll set up all of our constraints between the points, and then, well, this is not going to be collision geometry, but it's going to be used as something to attach to. It will be collision geometry later on. So we got our cloth set up, so now we need to build constraints between the cloth and the pole. So we drop a vellum attached to geometry there. Connect that up. So you can see by default it's connecting, I think, every single point to this pole. We don't need that. In fact, we don't want that, so it will give it a weird behavior. So we turn the max distance on, and then just 0.1 should be fine. There you can see, by raising this, you get more points. Okay, but we don't need so many. Just one is fine. What I'm going to do is put the rest length to 0, and that way, this should snap onto the pole, or if not, help it stay as close as possible. We can quickly test this, so let's drop a vellum solver, connect that up. By the way, if you notice there, the way because these have got 3 inputs and outputs, if you hold it on top of, or well, just below the node, you can see it connects up all 3 inputs for you automatically. If not, you can do shift, click, hold shift, click, 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 and then drop it on one and it will connect them all for you. So let's just take a quick look at that just to make sure it's working. Okay, that's fine. You can see it's holding on. Great. Delete the solver. We don't want the solver, just to make sure it's working. So we need the constraints and the geometry in one thing and then we're going to connect it into a layer here. Okay, so to bring them together we need a vellum pack, and this just has two inputs because we're not going to pack in the collision geometry as well. Okay, so that's going to pack them together, and then we drop a null. Call this out. Yeah, we're going to do two separate flags, so I'll call this one flag. Move that over. Because I also want the pole, okay, we need to connect that up as well. So, whoops, out, woman, and pole. Okay, and then, so let's drop another agent layer. So this the similar to what we've been doing here. Okay, we use this to add in some geometry. And let's visualize. So we can't see anything now. So the name will be flag. Do it in lowercase. Flag. We're going to set this as a current layer so we can visualize it. The source layer is something to build on. Okay, so I don't want the defaults with all of the clothes. We can use one of these. You can choose any one. I'll just use number one. Number one I wanted, yeah. And we're going to add to this. Okay, so we're going to add two layer bindings, right? And before we used, I think the hips, or yeah, the hips for the transform, but now we're going to be using the hand because I want the flag to follow the hand, not her general, not the general animation, right? So we come here and grab left hand. You can see it's adding this collision geometry, right? It's got this collision geometry by default for ragdolls, but you know, we're not doing that yet. And the shape, so we're not going to be using the shape from within the FBX. Obviously, we're going to be joining in this geometry. So we're going to add shape, and then it asks for the sub pass. So we'll drop in the flag. Okay, we still don't see it because we need a name. Let's call it flag. And we see the flag. And we'll do the same here. So add shape. Sub path will be the pole. And the shape name will be pole. And I think, yeah, if we turn off keep position when attaching, well, at the moment that won't affect it because we need to actually put it in place. But if you watch, you can see it's following along her animation. And by the way, don't worry about the clip properties. Okay, it doesn't matter that this is branching off beforehand. You know, that it won't affect that. Okay. So this is just to tell the flag where does it sit in relation to the hand, right? Okay, so we need to transform this geometry to, you know, be in the correct place in relation to a hand. So you can either do that. I think you can do it here somehow. I think. Let's see. Oh, shape transform. Okay. But it's a bit annoying because you don't really have your gizmo, right? So I can't do that in the screen here. I have to do it here. So what I find is easier is just transforming it beforehand. Okay. So if I drop a transform here, and obviously I want to transform both of these together. So what you can do is just, if you right click, go to actions, create reference copy. And this means that whatever I do here, the same thing will happen on this side as well, right? So I'm going to grab the flag and just position it into her hand. about there, pull it out. Now, yeah, if it's obviously there, it's intersecting with the floor, so don't worry about that. Because remember, we've got the clip properties, and we're just worrying about from here to here, right? So what is a problem is the pole kind of passing there, okay, going into her body. So we need to transform it so it's not doing that. So, and it's a bit difficult here, you know, to eye it up. So I'm just looking there, and I can see I need the pole to be turning to, you know, this way away from her hand, and maybe a bit forward this way as well, right? So basically it needs to be turned down a bit, right? And maybe I think a bit this way as well. Let's take a look at that. Getting closer. Still, yeah, I think quite a bit more down, like that. Can be a bit fiddly, this, getting it to work correctly, but you know, it is what it is. What's most important really is the flag itself not intersecting with her. The pole going into her bit doesn't matter really, because the pole is not going to be simulated. The pole is passing through her head there, which is no fun. Let's see, how far down does she go the other way? Yeah, I think we can go further this way. That's better. Great, okay, so I think that's okay now. So remember, yeah, it's passing through her there, but that's not part of our actual animation. Great. So that's all ready to go for her, I think. No, I'll leave that on. Great, okay, and then next video we'll do the same, but for the man.